All right, we should be already technically live on YouTube, so welcome everyone. If there's any people who are instantly here and watching us, then welcome. I'm gonna pop out the chat so I can see what all you guys are saying. And let's see what we got. We got 0 people watching yet, so we caught them off guard. It's good.
Yeah, because we're early.
Like it.
That's why. Like, hey, we don't have to check in till 9:05.
Right, exactly. They're like, oh, they're always late. I'll be there in a minute.
I'll tell you a quick story. I don't think she's.
Here we go. Donna Hoffman says hi, and Mark Olson, they're here, so they're starting to roll in. What's your quick story?
I sent my friend Rhonda. She's going to be checking out the show tonight. Your link. She doesn't know anything about the Prepper Trifecta, nothing about you and any of that sort of stuff. She's trained at the survival, taught at the survival expo. So hey, check it out. Dan's going to be on tonight, and you know, you can get sort of a feel for what the show's all about. So I send her the link, and it's your channel, and it's just got like a half image. It's in Facebook. It's just it's like the muscular dude. It's the Lord Humongous, right?
Yeah, right. Like this weird S&M mask and everything.
Yeah, she's probably looking at this like, what the fuck?
Like, what are you sending me?
What is this image?
Yeah, sometimes I forget how weird this stuff is. I'm like, whatever. So welcome everyone. We're gonna be covering bugging out while continuing our conversations with Dan from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somewhere around there. Yeah. Went well. We're covering gear, specific gear he says he's got to show and tell a little bit. I had gotten a couple people messaged me saying they're getting the Wiggy sleeping bags based on your recommendation.
Nice.
So they should be happy with that, hopefully. So that's good. Always expanding people's minds. But anything else going on new with you guys? I think we got 3 or 4 more days until the collapse of Western civilization, depending on who you ask. So like I was telling these guys before we went live, that there's really nothing that could happen in the next couple days that wouldn't surprise me. If nothing happens, that'll be surprising. Something crazy happens, that'll obviously be surprising. So I'm done trying to predict anything, just kind of sitting back and watching and trying to be prepared. So
yeah, you'll wear yourself out trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, because the information is just constant. A lot of it's bogus, and there's no way to put it into context without knowing a lot more than we can possibly know. So we just got to wait and see.
Yeah. You know what threw me off personally, and I know I want to get right into what Dan has to show us and teach us, is the NRA. I heard that this week. What happened there? They filed for bankruptcy. Did you hear about this?
I hadn't heard anything about that.
It's
news to me if something happened with them.
That's apparently there's a mishandling of funds, and which is kind of a little concerning from a firearms perspective, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
So, did you hear about that, Dan?
Yeah, I heard about that a week or two ago, and I didn't read the whole article, so I don't know what is the cause of it, but it just struck me as pretty odd considering how big that organization is.
Right.
Yeah, especially the amount of power and influence they have on many different levels.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because we don't have much here in Canada. We've got a couple of organizations that are trying to fight for our rights, and it's a real struggle. So to think that such a powerhouse has been crippled in some respects is concerning.
Right, especially right now when we probably have more to worry about in terms of gun rights for the next few years than.
Well, yeah, exactly. Especially with Kamala, whatever her name is, Mrs. K. She comes in and pulls some rabbit out of a hat and says, "Oh, let's ban this and ban that," and there's no organization to really fight it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, we still got oath keepers.
Yeah. And luckily, it's not as simple as just the executive branch deciding that something is illegal with the Constitution, at least. So we got that.
All right. What's the word? Octopus.
Right.
We'll explain that one later, guys.
Yeah, we'll explain it later. Dan, the form, Eric, unless you wouldn't want to.
No, go for it. We're here to talk about bugging out and gear and nutrition.
Yeah, it's January, and some people probably have resolutions to get better shape. So how does staying in shape relate to bugging out?
It's huge. Absolutely huge. The problem is that's one of the biggest problems I see with a lot of preppers. They have all sorts of cool stuff in that, but they have nothing to back it up with the physical fitness. And you know what? It's not a hard thing to do. And there's so many different ways to work on it. But what I wanted to show people is a book that I really endorse. And it's called Slow Jogging. And it's a fantastic book. And I mean, literally, this will take someone who can't even walk or run like 30 feet and get them running. I mean, literally marathons. It's just a really good book, and it's all based on basically just jogging slowly at a rate of perceived exertion of about 50%. So, oh,
Man down.
Right.
man down.
Man down.
It's not as bad as I've had once where I was showing a camera on the show
Yeah.
and I dropped the camera on the ground. You remember that?
Oh, I think so. At least you had pants on, right? It didn't like shine in there.
So
Yeah,
the whole idea behind the slow jogging is it's just, and it's not as simple as that. You'd have to get the book and read it. But I mean, anyone can do it. I mean, slow jogging is such a big thing in Japan where it originated. Like people 80, 90 years old, you'll see them slow jogging all over the sidewalks, all times of the day. And it's just, they're just going at 50% of what they can do. And, you know, you can get amazingly fit doing that, just amazingly fit.
You can also tend to go a lot farther if you're talking about travel too, like in a situation where you need to travel on foot, you can get a lot farther and go a lot longer if you stay at that lower exertion level
absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you become fat adapted, because at that's low intensity, you're not really using any muscle glycogen at all. It's all staying in your fuel tank. And really it's so finite, the supply of glycogen in your muscles. You really only have about a teaspoon of sugar, glycogen, running around your bloodstream, which is not a whole lot of fuel. So that's why it's so important to become fat adapted, and slow jogging will make you fat adapted. And
even
then you're going to be
even without a like change to your diet.
Yeah, it'll very much make you more fat adapted. Won't make you 100%, but it'll get you way beyond 50, 60%. Yeah. And so it's a really good book. And I read it about 2 years ago. And I do actually incorporate a little bit of it into my training, like my really long runs. I just do the slow jog at about 50, 60% of my exertion level and just go for hours. And you can do it with a smile on your face the whole time because you're not killing yourself and you're not destroying your joints. So it's a really good book. And anybody who gets that book can literally get really fit. Yeah, it's going to take some time. You have to have patience and everything. But there's no excuse for anyone unless they have, like, I don't know, deformity or some sort of strange abnormality or injury to their body. It's just going to make you a much better prepper just being fit. And not only that, you know, it's like, do you want to live longer? You know, you want to bounce the grandkids off your knee one day or whatever. So it's just a good idea all around. Plus, just for the psychological, the amount of endorphins that are released in slow jogging, you don't get that once you increase your speed. But the most amount of endorphins, which is like, that's a freebie drug, freebie high for you. The most amount of endorphins get released when you're at about 50 to 60% of your maximum exertion level. So psychologically, after a month or two, you're going to be a completely different person psychologically just by doing the slow jogging.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I believe is most people need to get fitter, and they don't have to kill themselves. It can be just a really gentle, enjoyable thing. And if they get that book, Slow Jogging, they will get a lifetime of reward from it.
What's the author's name, Dan?
The author's name is
D at the end of it.
I'm going to butcher this all up.
Go for it.
Hiroki Tanaka, Dr. Hiroki Tanaka.
Interesting. Yeah, I made a video a while back on some other like like prepper bench lines, I think, for fitness, more like functional things, because like obviously it's great to treat fitness in any capacity, whether you're running or weightlifting, have specific goals within that. But specifically for preparedness, I think there's certain things like being able to just move, whether that's walking or jogging for several miles at a time, carrying some weight. But other things like being able to climb over a wall or climb a rope, do a couple pull-ups, things like, not just do them in like a gym environment, but it's weird that people who, you may be stuck in a pit or something, you could lower a rope down to them and they still can't get out because of your fitness level or something like that, or being able to just sprint all out for at least 100 or yards, something like that, without being completely destroyed, just things like that. And I think one of those should be the ability to at least just walk or jog slowly for hours at a time if you need to. Regardless of, that might not be a scenario that comes up that often to where you're like, I need to jog for 6 hours, but it could, and just as a general sense of being able to stay in shape, and like you said, just overall health certainly helps.
An interesting thing is when I was in the military, we put a lot of time and effort into training what was called the bursting gap. And the bursting gap was, you need to have that long-term endurance. But the bursting gap was when all shit hits the fan and you need to get away from the problem. It's basically a half a kilometer sprint as fast as you can, just to get away or create distance. So that was the bursting gap, and that's a great thing. I mean, if you can sprint and do half a kilometer in like 2 minutes or a minute and a half, you're way ahead of 99% of most people. Especially
if you can actually do something at the end of that and not just fall over gasping for air.
That's
right. But actually take a couple shots or make decisions and not and that's tough.
You might be hearing my dog whining in the background. It's her bedtime and she refuses to go to bed without me.
You got to tuck her in.
So anyways, I thought I'd go ahead, Che.
Oh, just ask what kind of dog?
It's a Dogo Argentino.
Oh, nice.
An Argentine Mastiff. Yeah, originally they were trained to hunt mountain lions and wild boars. Just absolutely fearless dogs.
I've heard that they'll actually, instead of barking, they'll actually wait for someone and like hide and wait for someone to come in and then attack them or something.
I've heard that too. Cool. Mine, it just barks, and it's a fierce bark. It's like, you don't want to come through my door. Yeah, for sure.
My dog's got a good bark, but he's a big baby. He looks mean, which helps, but he's a big cuddle slut. That's all he wants to do. And I seriously doubt if someone broke in, he might not even attack him. And I'm like, what's the point of having a head this big if you're not going to bite somebody?
There's a photo on YouTube. I had to Google it. I don't know what a Dogo.
Yeah, they kind of look like a pit bull, but it's like an Argentinian pit bull mastiff.
There's 3 times the size.
Yeah, and they're white usually too, right?
Yeah,
This one's white, and it's got its jaw around a pit bull's neck. Looks pretty fierce. But anyways, Dan, before you get into your bag, I'm just your bug out bag. I'm wondering what your day-to-day go-to meals are from a health perspective. Like what's your? Here's one for me. I got fresh eggs, scrambled eggs with
Tony Hortons or whatever the place is called.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Tony Hortons.
Tony Hortons.
Damn Americans.
Whatever. Sorry for the sacrilege.
This is a good attempt.
Basically, so like I said a couple of weeks ago, I ate a ketogenic diet only. About once a month, I'll actually go off that ketogenic diet just for psychological health and eat like a few pies and a bucket of ice cream and bags of cookies, just for my psychological welfare. But other than that, I eat a ketogenic diet. So it's all a modest amount of protein, a lot of fat. And that's what I've been eating for 3 years now.
Interesting. Do you have a goal, like a carb limit that you set? Like what's your per day?
I try never to go more than 30 grams of carbs per day. Some days I'll be at like 10, 15. Other days I'll swing up to 25, 30, but I never go over 30.
Yeah, that's what I've seen for most people is like around 20 or 30. But I've actually saw some study somewhere that people were able to stay in ketosis with more carbs when it was still a small percentage of the amount of food that they were eating. Like if they were eating 5,000 calories, they could have 100 grams of carbs or 50 grams of carbs or whatever and still stay in ketosis, where a normal person would never be able to with that amount of carbs. But
Yeah.
it seems to be important how much it is as a percentage of your food versus just a total amount too, which is weird.
Well, the world record holder for running 100 miles is a guy by the name of Zach Bitter. And he ran it in 11 hours and like 18 minutes.
That's
100
insane.
miles, man. And he eats ketogenically, but he ups when he's on that sort of thing, like doing a world record run. He'll actually up his carbs a little bit, just because that's what he needs to do to compete at that phenomenal level. But
Yeah.
other than that, he's ketogenic.
Interesting. I have a friend who does ultra marathons, and she did the 100 milers. It took her I think she dipped under the 24-hour mark. So 11 hours is crazy for 100 miles.
Do you know which one she did?
She does them in Florida. I don't know what the name of it
Okay.
was. I think she did one in Mayaca Park somewhere down there, like the swamps. But she does
Right.
a lot of other races, so I don't know which one was the 100-mile one. She does 50
Right.
milers and stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Well, shall we jump into some bug out bag show and tell?
let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So like I was saying 3 weeks ago, it's what we call there. Well, before I even go there, the people that are really doing this correctly, who know they already have the skills to bug out really well. And that's the through hikers. Everyone's heard of the Appalachian Trail. The people that do those through hikes, that's what they're called. They're the ones, they've already learned their lessons about ounces equals pounds and pounds equals pain. And you got to figure that the Appalachian Trail goes from Springer Mountain in Georgia all the way up to Mount Katahdin in Maine, 3,500 kilometers in length. Most people take anywhere from between 4 and 7 months to do it. So they're learning their lessons in the first week or so, 2 weeks, and they've got it down to an art form. So anyone who really wants to learn more, just about any website on through hiking will put you right where you need to be. So they're the ones that are really doing it right. So what they know is they've got to keep their weight down so they can maintain mobility and reduce chance of injury. So what they call the big three is always the same thing. It's the shelter, pack, and sleep system. Those are the three heaviest things that you have maybe in your bug out bag. For me, my bug out location is, it's a 3.5 hour drive from my home, but if I have to boot it on foot, yeah, it's going to take me, if I'm going by myself, yeah, I'll be there in 3 days. Big deal. But because I'm dragging my family, yeah, it's going to be 7 to 10 days. And my dogs.
Right.
So the big three is you got to reduce weight, as much weight as you can on the three heaviest items. There's no sense cutting your toothbrush in half if you're carrying a 6-pound tent. Okay. So
Right.
you got to break down shelter, reduce the weight, pack, reduce the weight, sleep system, reduce the weight. So I actually brought my pack out. Here's my pack that I use. It's a Go Light, what's called the Jam 50. It's a 50-liter pack. This is my 3-season bug out bag, and it's super light. Okay. It's super light. And that's what I use. It's got a really great waist belt with pouches on it, so I can keep stuff I need immediately. I can access them very quickly. It's super adjustable, and you can see there's no frame in it at all. In fact, it comes with a really thin 1/4 inch thick back pad as protection. Yeah, take that and toss it away. Because what you actually want to do is you want to get a bag that's super light. If you can keep your pack under 3 pounds, great. If you can keep it at around 2 pounds or under, that's awesome. So what I do with my pack is basically inside of it, I put a white trash compactor bag. Garbage bags are garbage, Trash compactor bags are where it's at, because the nice thing is everything I put in my bag is going to go in this trash compactor bag to keep it waterproof. That way I get rid of like other waterproof bags that are just adding weight to my pack. So everything gets waterproofed with the trash compactor bag. And the nice thing is about the trash compactor bag being white is when you open up your pack to go find something, you can actually see inside your pack. It's not this black abyss hole of death, you can actually see what
Good
you're
point.
getting. So it's actually quite efficient that way. So what I do is I have a sleeping pad. Here's my sleeping pad. And it only goes basically from my head to just below my waist. You know, it's about 3 feet long. And, you know, this is the one I use if it's +5 degrees Celsius, which is just about freezing for you Americans. And what I do is I put this into my pack as a tube. Oh, man down.
Man down again.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Dan, please ask them in all caps in the chat window, and we'll be happy to get to them. Dan is Bugout Dan. It's his new name.
There we go.
And
so what I do is I take that pad and I make a tube out of it and I shove it in my bag. And then everything that I'm going to pack in there goes in this tube. So this now becomes the frame for my backpack and my padding. And that way I don't carry any extraneous weight because I got rid of the little pad that goes in here. So
what's your, do you have any particular reason why you opted for the foam pad over like an inflatable sleep mattress or pad?
In the wintertime, I use an inflatable. In 3 seasons, I use the foam because it doesn't matter if it gets punctured. I don't have to repair it. It doesn't go flat in the middle of the night. And I can use it in the daytime really easily to sit on if I want to or whatever. So that's why I use it. Plus, it's very light. Like this one itself weighs, it's 4.75 ounces. So you get an inflatable, yeah, it's going to be up pushing 12, 14, 16 ounces. So I'm doing it for, you know, for weight and for less maintenance, 3 season.
You can definitely get some lightweight inflatable ones. I'm not sure exactly what mine weighs, but I would be shocked if it was over half a pound. Obviously, that's still twice as much as that one. But they do have some. But like you said, if they're lightweight inflatable, it's much more likely to probably get damaged or punctured or whatnot too.
Right. So this is everything right here. This kitchen scale. Everything I'm going to use when I decide, do I want to take this? Do I want to take that? The deciding factor is, what does the kitchen scale tell me? I weigh everything. And I tend to write down exactly the weight of things on my items, like I did with my sleeping pad, so I don't have to keep weighing stuff over and over again. For the bigger items, like my sleeping bag or stuff like that, I actually use this. It's a scale actually for telling you how many pounds of trigger pull you have. But I use
luggage scales like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, so I use that for like sleeping bag and clothing and stuff. But you have to weigh everything because you have to know what everything weighs. So I've got my pack, I've got my pad, I got my Wiggy sleeping bag here. This is the super light, so this is good down to freezing for me. If I wear all my clothes to bed, which I normally do anyways, I'm good to about 5 degrees below zero. So this is my 3 season bag. And my shelter is right here. So it's a Rab sill tarp. I can stick 2 or 3 people under here. And so all those items right there. So I got my pack, my shelter system, my sleep system is 6.5 pounds, all of them, which is phenomenal. I mean, you can go out there and find packs that are, you know, common packs are 4 or 5 pounds each.
Yeah, pair of boots or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if you weigh them. So here's most of the stuff. Here's really the only stuff I need to survive for days on end, and it weighs 6.5 pounds. So that's the beauty.
That Rab, excellent tarp.
Yeah,
that Rab, I've had one for years. It's a combined different company, but they joined together. Integral Designs. I was just going to say ultra light, ultra portable, which is really important because and that's one flag for me as a preparedness individual, not a flag, but when people pull out Joe Tedai or whatever his name is from Dual Survivor or whatever it's called, pulled out like bolt cutters from his bug out bag and said, hey, well, you never know, you may need to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, some people have no concept or appreciation for how important weight is as a factor. And it's a clear indicator of how deep down the rabbit hole they've thought about this sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But please continue.
Okay, so basically my clothing for 3 season, I'll use just a t-shirt base layer. I like polyester. Definitely stay away completely from cotton clothes unless you're going to be bugging out through the desert. So I'll wear like a polyester t-shirt. Over that, I'll wear a nylon shirt, which is button up. And the reason I like the nylon shirt is, first of all, they dry really fast. Same with polyester, but mosquitoes can't bite through this. Okay, so it's my bug protection. So I'll wear that. If things get a little colder, I'll throw on this polyester long sleeve crew. And this is Canadian Army issue, actually. It's an awesome piece of gear. And after that, if it's real cold, like the shoulder seasons, and I'm out, I'll carry my Wiggy's vest with me.
It's next on my list.
Okay.
I gotta get one of those.
And then my final piece of gear that I wear is for the real cold temperatures is actually just a fleece jacket. Nothing fancy, just green fleece. I like fleece. In the wintertime, I basically carry the same stuff, but I'll carry a real thin pair of long underwear tops and bottoms. And instead of the fleece jacket, I'll carry a puffy jacket, synthetic. I like fleece though, because it really doesn't absorb water. Not the fibers themselves don't. So if it gets super wet, you can like literally vigorously shake it and it's like 3/4 dry already. And
yeah,
then
kind of beads up on the outside, and you can just
it dries really quickly. But the important thing is it breathes extremely well. So if you are perspiring, a lot of that moisture will go right through the fleece and escape to atmosphere. So I like that a lot. If you're inexperienced, especially, fleece is the way to go if you're in like the eastern woodlands environment, because it's always damp and it's always wet. So you really can't get yourself in too much trouble with fleece if you're inexperienced. For footwear, like I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Merrell Moabs. This is a really worn out pair, but that's what they look like. You can get the above the ankle ones, but it's more weight. I like the below the ankle ones myself. And of course, what I actually wear if I was going to bug out is my trail running shoes, because they're super durable, they're super comfortable, and they're just awesome. These ones are made by Ultra. All the shoes I use to run in are Ultras, and they're just really great shoes. So that's what I prefer to use. When it comes to socks, it's really, really important that you don't ever wear cotton socks, because one of the big cause of blisters is having wet socks and overly moist skin. That's one of the main causes. So I mentioned before I have sleep socks. These are what I put on at night. You'll notice that they're just above the ankle because I don't want any extra weight. Okay, they're just to keep my tootsies. I only wear these to bed at night just to keep my feet super dry, have them so that they're breathing easily, hence the wool and nylon, and just trying to heal my feet every night while I'm bugging out. So that's what I put on at night. When I'm wearing my shoes during the day, I wear 2 different socks. So I'll wear 1 pair and I'll carry an extra pair. So I'm going to show you 2 different types that I use here. One, if you want to buy decent socks for bugging out, forget about going to like wherever. Just go to a running store and tell them, listen, I want socks that I can wear on my feet for like 20 hours a day and run and walk and not get blisters. And they're going to point you in the right direction. These ones are made by Wrights, W-R-I-G-H-T-S, Wright Sock Company. And they're a double layer sock. So they're super thin to begin with, just above the ankle, no extra weight. But what they do is it's a sock within a sock. So they have an inner sock, like a real wicking type deal. And then they have the outer sock. So now you have 2 layers that can slide against each other. So it reduces friction on your foot so you don't get blisters. For people that get heel blisters a lot, these are fantastic. In fact, Wright Sock Company guarantees you won't get a blister if you wear their socks. So
I actually used to get specific, like, not silk, but it's that kind of materials like polyester, like sock liners that I would put inside the military wool socks for the ruck marches for that exact same reason. So the movement was between your sock, your inner sock and your outer sock, instead of your sock and your boot, and that way it would prevent a lot of blisters and wear.
When I was in the military, we used to actually wear pantyhose, just the short ones, and wear the pantyhose.
These kind of had that feel to it, but they were white, kind of like the liners to that. And they were just called sock liners, and they I think it was something my dad turned me on to, and they worked great for that reason too.
The other pair of socks I either wear or carry are made by a company called Injinji. I think they're from Japan, hence the name. But basically, they're toe socks, so that each one of your toes has its own little compartment. And that way, so if you're prone to getting blisters on your toes, this is the deal right here. And ultra marathoners, this is what they wear, and this is what they wear. So if they're running 50, 100 miles in a day, you can bet that they're not using them, they're using them because they work. So that's why it's really important that I showed them to you.
What's the first company's name, Dan? If you don't mind.
Wright Sock.
That's
WRIGHT.
Like the Wright brothers.
And these are Injinji.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I've got I don't want to sidetrack you, Dan, if you're going down a certain thought process. I got a question. Do you want to keep going?
Sure.
Or a minute?
Go ahead with the question.
It's a little off track here from Altruistic Ape. Whatever that means. The question is, would bugging out in Canada, I want to know this too, what your opinion is. Would bugging out in Canada involve firearms?
Well, for me, it does. Because I want to win.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Pretty simple answer to me.
Absolutely. Okay, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, is there a particular firearm that you would care to disclose, or we don't have to go into that at all?
I'll get to that if we don't run out of time. How's that?
Sure. Keep going.
Okay. So after that, you got to think of my underwear, and it's personal for everybody, but basically male or female, this is what I'd recommend. So like an athletic boxer short made out of synthetic material. I like polyester. These will save you from getting chafing on your inner thighs. I can't imagine not wearing these in a bug out. Like, there's no way. The total game changer. You ever see the movie Lone Survivor when they bring the guy who plays Marcus Luttrell in? When they bring him in from the helicopter, throw him in the little gurney, you'll notice that he's wearing these. Okay. And I know it's just a movie, but everybody in the military who's anybody, as long as they're high speed, they're wearing this sort of shorts. Okay. So get yourself a pair. You don't have to buy $40 Under Armour ones. These ones were like, I got them at a base, not just one step above a thrift store for like $8 a piece. Made exactly same material. These are polyester, same as the Under Armour ones.
Yeah, when I was doing the same ruck marches I was talking about, I would get the longer ones, not quite down to the knee, but at least mid thigh.
Yeah,
and almost like compression shorts, not the Under Armour ones, but a little bit thicker than just a regular pair of underwear, because the actual crotch seam on the BDUs, like getting stuck in between your thighs back and forth for miles, would just tear you up if you didn't have, if you were wearing boxers or just whitey tighties or whatever. You know what I mean? So definitely having something that goes past the crotch seam of your pants and has a little bit of a slicker material like that.
Yep. Obviously I carry gloves with me. These are just work gloves, whatever. These ones cost me like $8 at Home Depot, believe it or not. Good color, and they're really durable. That's what I wear to protect my hands, especially if you're carrying a rifle all day. Your hands get beat up. Your hands will get torn up. So that's why military guys wear like mechanics gloves or whatever, just to kind of protect their hands a little bit. So for my headgear for 3 season, what I do is I carry two different hats. I carry like a wool watch cap. This one's Carhartt, but I didn't buy it because it's Carhartt. I bought it because of the color. You'll notice that all my stuff is all earth tone. I don't wear any camouflage because I don't want to look military. I want to just look like a civilian. Okay.
Why? How come?
Because if I look like a civilian, then they're going to underestimate what I can do if push comes to shove. And that's what it comes down to. You know, I'm going to gain my advantage psychologically before we even get face to face.
In that case, I'll be wearing a pussy hat, so they can really underestimate.
So I wear this hat. Really important to have a hat with a brim, and not so much. Yes, it's true. You know, the hat with the brim is, you know, keeps the sun off your face. But really, what that brim is to me, that's a early warning radar system for my face. I mean, even though I wear glasses, if you're walking in the bush, especially at night, and a branch hits that brim, it transfers right to your brain, and you know to stop before you get scraped in the face or get poked in the eye with a stick. Like I said, not a big deal if you're wearing glasses, but I like that factor. It makes a huge difference. I do a lot of practicing just trucking through the woods, jogging that at nighttime. I mean, in deep forest, and wearing a brim hat will save your eyes if you don't wear glasses. So obviously, like I said, everything has to, all the clothing in your bag I mentioned 3 weeks ago, you have to be able to wear it all at one time. So if I'm wearing this because it's really cold out, I'll also throw this hat on over top because now it's windproofed my wool hat, and I still have my brim for sun protection. And, you know, I'm wearing everything I can at once if I need to. If you have more stuff in your bag than you can put on all at once, you got too much stuff as far as I'm concerned. So that's the hat I use. It's nylon, so it's bug proof as well. This is acrylic. And then what I have is my bug protection. So because I'm in a tarp and there's no big net around me, like I'm in a tent, this is my protection at night. So basically what I do is I'll put this hat on with the brim, and I'll sleep with it on. And hopefully I won't knock off my earbuds. And then I pull this over top, and then the brim actually keeps it from sagging down on my face while I sleep. And so my face doesn't get bitten by mosquitoes.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that, because with that type of mosquito netting, not the one that has like the weird ring in it, if you just put it on your face and it's just laying on your skin, they can still get you. It has to be held off a little bit. So that's
the other reason for the brim hat. So basically, my raincoat. So this is the raincoat I was telling you about. Earth tone color. Super durable because it's like a rubber material, but it's super light as well. It's actually workwear designed by Helly Hansen. So it's actually meant for guys on construction sites and stuff like that. So it's real. I've never been able to rip it. I've run through the woods with it. I've trashed every piece of rain gear I've ever had, but I've had this one for 4 years, 5 years. I've never been able to poke a hole in it yet. So I really like it. And it's quiet in the woods. It's very quiet. Did you say something there?
Yeah, I was just saying, give them a plug again. What's the name of that company? That rain jacket?
Helly Hansen.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I can't remember what the jacket's called, but it's an awesome jacket. Basically, I carry electrolyte capsules with me because especially in the summertime, once your electrolytes get out of balance, you're not moving anywhere until you recover in 8 to 12 to 15 hours or 24 hours. So I carry these as well. Not in this container. I put them in a baggie. I also carry caffeine pills with me because I'm used to drinking 5 or 6 coffees a day. And if I'm bugging out, I'm not drinking 5 or 6 coffees a day and I get headaches from the caffeine withdrawal. So I carry the caffeine. Excuse me. So the other stuff to my bug out bag, and I'm not going to show you everything. So this is my Fleur breech. This is my $3,000 Fleur breech.
Can we see? Can we bring it up to the camera and turn it on? Will we be seeing anything? Maybe.
Maybe. Don't know if I left the batteries in or not.
And there's a couple questions from Brian as well. While you're figuring that out with respect.
Sorry,
to
no batteries in it.
No worries.
No problem. Next time, Dan, you could talk about this stuff for fucking hours. So you got to come back, and we got to go. We got to compartmentalize different areas of Dan's mind and be like, okay, let's just focus. We can do a show just on footwear. Speaking of which, Brian says, can those socks? We're gonna go back a couple minutes when you had the socks. Keep your feet dry and comfortable or warm in a cold environment. And he says the same for running shoes or boots.
For me, as long as I'm moving, they're good to about down to freezing, a little bit below freezing. If I stop, no. But if I'm stopping, you have to think in context, why am I stopping? So if I'm bugging out, I'm either moving or I'm stopping. And if I'm stopping, I'm in the most hidden away spot I can be. And I get immediately in my sleeping bag to conserve resources and to start the recovery process. If I happen to be on sentry duty for 2 hours, then I'm not in my sleeping bag. I'm on sentry duty for 2 hours. But then after that, I'm back in my bag or I'm moving. So I'm only on sentry or I'm moving or I'm in my bag. It doesn't mean I'm sleeping, but I'm in my bag. So, I mean, for wintertime, what I do is I still wear my running shoes and I wear those socks, but I wear Neos over boots. And I'm totally fine with those.
There's more questions, Stan. We can go through the questions, or do you want to keep going down this?
Let's do another question.
Sure. Okay. So ethical preparedness. Shout out to EP. What kind of food and water do you carry with you on long rucks?
So I eat ketogenically. So if I'm only going out for like 2-3 days, I don't even bother carrying any food. I just carry my electrolyte tabs. I bring some water and I just go. Because when you're ketogenic, you can go weeks and weeks without eating and it's no big deal. Like you don't have severe hunger pains and everything. So that's what I do. And speaking of food, we can talk about carbs a little bit. When you want to pack for bug out food, your biggest compromise is the weight factor of the food or how much space it takes. Even dehydrated food takes a huge amount of space. If you only need to go, I only need 6 meals, you're fine then. But if you're someone who might need like 2 weeks of food, yeah, you're not fine because your dehydrated food is going to fill a duffel bag. So basically what I tell people is you want to have food that provides the most amount of calories for the least amount of weight. And if you're a carb eater, basically what you want is you want to aim all your food to be at 125 calories per ounce. Okay. So I'll give you an example. In Canada, we got No Name Mr. Noodles. Okay. It's 390 calories. And it weighs about 2 ounces. But this actually works out to be about 130 calories per ounce. So this would be a great thing, maybe in my bug out bag if I ate carbs. Just boil some water and throw it in there and you're done, right? I'm not cooking meals. We're not camping. We're bugging out. So you got to think snack heavy, meal light. Maybe 1 cooked meal per day. The rest is snacks. And what I would suggest is M&Ms because they don't melt and make a mess. Gorp, good old raisins and peanuts with fruit added in for sugar. Corn chips are awesome. You take corn chips, you put them in a blender, you kind of smash them down so they take less size. Don't make them into powder, but smash them down and put them in a baggie. Corn chips are like 160 calories an ounce, way above our standard of 125 calories an ounce. Just whopping full of calories. And really gives a nice texture to anything you're eating that you mix it in. Nuts, instant oatmeal. Instant oatmeal is a little under the 125 calories per ounce, but other things are going to offset that. I bring coffee with me because I love my coffee. My electrolyte tabs, people take Tang with them. Chocolate bars, as long as they're not going to melt and make a mess, are phenomenal. Like people on the Appalachian Trail, they eat Snickers bars all day long. To do that, whole trail. They eat junk food. So don't worry about you're going to die or anything because I'm not getting any nutrition. Don't worry about nutrition. Worry about nutrition 6 months from now, because you're not going to die. You're not going to fall into ill health. So it's all about massive calories, little weight as possible, as small a space as possible. And that's the secret. And if you just do what the thru hikers do, just eat junk food, you'll be fine. Speaking of food, what I carry, people were wanted to. So this is my cooking kit. It's a titanium 550 milliliter cup with a lid. That's what I make my coffee in. If I'm gonna actually bring food, I have a titanium fork that goes with it, and it's got this little carrying case it goes in. That's my cook kit. What I do for actual heating things up is I carry a little cat food can stove. You punch some holes in it. You pour some alcohol methyl hydrate in it. That's what I use because it doesn't smoke. You start it up and it cooks. It weighs nothing. It weighs like half an ounce. If I bend it, oh, geez, I broke my stove. I just bend it back out so it looks somewhat normal and I keep using it. If I lose it, who cares? It's a cat food can, and no moving parts. So that's what I use. I carry a little fuel bottle. This is enough fuel for me to drink like 5 coffees a day for like 4 days, 5 days. So not a whole lot of fuel, but enough for me. For fuel bottles, this one's heavy duty. You could reduce the weight and use this thing, which weighs not even 1 ounce. It's 0.95 of an ounce. See, I've got the little weight written on there. Just a little apple juice container from Tony Hormans, or what'd you call it, Derek?
I said Tony Hortons. I got one right at least.
All right, Tim Hortons.
Yeah. I like
so
Tony
that's
Hormans,
what I use
sir.
for cooking in the winter time, because I have to boil water probably to get drinkable water. I actually carry a pot that's 1.2 liters. This one's a Cedar Summit. In the summertime, if you're actually cooking food, 1.2 liters is ample for 2 people. Okay, but I only carry this in the wintertime. For water bottles, yeah, I have Nalgene bottles. I go to my cottage, I got a Nalgene bottle, but I don't carry these to bug out because this is like 6 ounces of weight, empty. I carry like an Allen's apple juice container because this weighs 1/3 the weight. And I've never broken one of these yet, no matter how much I abuse them. Holds the same amount of fluid, 1/3 the weight. So I'm trying to cut down weight everywhere I can in everything I do. And I try and make things just as light as I can because ounces equals pounds and pounds equals pain. For my water purification, I also carry like a couple soft bladders because they waste nothing in my pack. And, you can roll them up and they take so little space in the pack, so I carry a bunch of these. But basically my mainstream water purification process is I use a Sawyer filter, the mini, that's it there. I'm not going to show you how to use it. Just, it's a great system. It'll purify 100,000 gallons of water. Kind of keep cleaning it by blowing it out with a syringe that comes with a kit. That's what I use. You can't use that in the wintertime though, because once the filter freezes, it's probably kaput. So in the wintertime, I boil my water as a backup just in case, because it's a mechanical device, even though there's no moving parts. I'll use pristine water purification tabs. This weighs not even 1 ounce. So I get 50 liters of purification tablets in here. So that's my backup system. Or if I don't have time to just take 2 minutes to pump my bottles full of water, I can just fill them up quickly, drop a pill in, screw the tap on, keep going quickly, and half an hour later, I can drink the water. So that's what I use for my water purification. I carry a small pair of binoculars because I want to be able to see things up close. Are they crystal clear? No, but I'm just trying to get zoom value. They're like $10 binoculars from your local outdoor store. I carry a GPS with me, as well as a map and compass, like hard map and compass. So I've got my bug out route on my map in a Ziploc bag. I've cut the extenuous portions of the map away that I'm not going to need to reduce the weight. I have a like a China marker in there for marking my map. I carry a base plate compass. I carry this is my hygiene kit and repair kit. So there'll be everything in here from a sewing kit, a washcloth so I can wash myself, to tenacious tape, which is phenomenal stuff. You want to fix something, you put tenacious tape on it. My toothbrush is in here. I've got special glue to glue my shoe back together if it falls apart. I got Imodium in case something bad happens. So that's like my hygiene, cleaning kit, repair kit.
Do you have a Metamucil in case nothing happens?
I don't have that problem. And what I do is what I use for lighting fires, if I need to, is I actually use a Bic lighter, a mini Bic lighter, because it weighs 0.5 an ounce. And I just take a bicycle inner tube and I put it over the top and put a band around it. And that way it's completely waterproof. I can just pull it off. So I put it on, fold it over.
Cool.
Now it's completely waterproof. Pull it off.
It probably also helps getting the button from getting depressed in your pack and letting out some of the butane.
Yeah. And so that's what I use. As well, I carry an emergency food system. This is a fishing kit I use, because if I need to actually get some food, the easiest food I'm going to get comes out of a lake. Always fish first. Forget about traps. Fish first. That's how you're going to get food.
I happen to sell a survival fishing kit. I was just going to say, it's a good plug for the Rule the Wasteland survival fishing kit. Check it out. RuleTheWasteland.com.
Could have a special episode here with a fishing kit, powwow between the two of you guys, because I totally agree, Dan. Fishing, self-sustainable food, long period of time fishing, absolutely.
Yeah.
But maybe we can go into your fishing kit and Eric's at the same time.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the road.
Okay. So for batteries for all my things, I only use Energizer lithium. They're half the weight of alkaline. They last at least twice as long. Yeah, they're expensive, but these are the only thing you should be using as far as I'm concerned. As well, in the wintertime, I don't use this particular stove. I use a Trianja. So this is the bag it comes in with the stand and everything. And this is the Trianja stove. It's a little heavier, but for wintertime and for cooking for up to 3 people, this is great. And in the wintertime, people are like, it's 20 below zero. It won't work. Well, I take this, I put it in my pocket next to me 20 minutes before I'm use it. And then when I pull it out, it works just fine. And it keeps working just fine. So that's what I use in the wintertime. I carry my Bogota Picks with me.
Oh, lock picks.
Yeah.
Or rakes rather, right? If you get technical.
Yeah. I'm a certified locksmith, so this is what I carry rather than a bigger kit.
I got a set like that from Dan. I bought it from you some years ago.
There you go. Yeah. And then I carry a Leatherman tool because I find that so helpful for cleaning and doing maintenance on rifles. I carry that. And I also carry, this is my knife. I don't carry like a giant machete or this like 14-foot Bowie knife. Okay. So a knife that I can do woodsy stuff with. Okay. If it has to protect my life, it'll do that really well. This one's a Mora carbon. Awesome knife. Gives you an idea of the size right there. And basically, I mean, I'm not showing you everything, but I'm showing you a good portion. But before I forget, I want to show you probably the most important thing I have in the bug out bag. And that is this. 3 things. Body glide. Okay, this is what ultra marathoners use to put on parts that are going to chafe or get blisters. And this stops it. Okay, it's just like a deodorant stick. So that stuff is a lifesaver. The next thing I carry, and I don't carry it in the box, but it's Leuco tape. And I talked about this before. I had a blister from just running a really long run the other day on my heel. I put this on. It stayed on for showering and everything, going to work, wearing work boots. It stayed on for 3 days before I pulled it off. And it probably would have stayed on for another 2 or 3 days had I not pulled it off. But this stuff is phenomenal tape for taping blisters. Okay, that's what it looks like there. So in my Bugout bag, I would just take it out of the box and throw it in my bag just the way it is. So that's it there. The most tenacious sticking tape in the world. And it's really thin, but it's awesome for blisters. The other thing I use is KT tape, which is like a physiotherapy tape. And what's great about the KT tape is it's great for wrapping around toes if they blister. If by chance they blister, it bends around corners really well. It's a really thin tape, and it's good in that respect. Completely breathable, won't stay on as long as the Luco tape, but phenomenal, just phenomenal. And you know what? After I have my main stuff in my Bugout bag, all I care about is taking my feet, and then everything else is a bonus. Like all the stuff I've showed you, it's a bonus after that. And I'll start putting that stuff in.
I've never heard of Luco tape, but I use a product called Moleskin.
Yeah, I hate Moleskin because I've always found that
for me it's half blisters and can bug it out.
For me it rolls and then becomes a big like knot in my sock. I've never had it stay on my feet. Like after a couple hours, it seems to me it just rolls right off me.
I would get the Moleskin and like the big squares that you could cut to shape, and then I would use the athletic tape on top of that. Because the adhesive that comes with the Moleskin was never really that good, and it wouldn't stick to your skin the way you're describing. So I would always like apply it and then tape over it, and it seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah. If you're serious about learning how to bug out really well, I would suggest you get this book. It's called Fixing Your Feet, and it's written by John Von Hoff. And John Von Hoff is very famous in the ultra running world. He is like the guy. If you're famous, you always phone John Von Hoff and say, can you be my crew chief, my crew chief to get me through the race, with the other 10 people that are going to help you, because he knows so much about fixing foot problems in ultra marathons, and it's all in this book. And so this is just phenomenal. It's going to teach you everything you need to know about how to keep your feet in good order. And that's where I learned everything about my feet other than being in the military. Another really great book just to do with through hiking, which is like so close to bugging out. It's not funny. This is by Andrew Shurka. He was National Geographic's Athlete of the Year a few years ago. This guy's like Mr. Through Hiker. This guy like does like 20,000 miles a year with minimal weight equipment on his back and no support. It's a phenomenal book. So everything I'm talking about here, I got so much of it from this book. Just really good ideas. The only other book I want to show, and then we'll hopefully answer a couple questions, is this one. It's a tiny little book, and it's it's 80 pages, and it's written by Jerry Baker, and it's called Some Thoughts on Scouts and Spies. And it's kind of like a tactical manual. It's kind of written, though, not in the modern sense, but in a historical sense, during the French Indian Wars. But everything is pertainable today. And so if you've got no military experience, this would be a great book for you to pick up. It's really cheap book. It's like $10. Other than that, I'm ready for any questions.
Well, I have to say, Dan, and we got a healthy audience here. They come back every week, and I'm glad you came back.
For sure.
I'm glad I came back.
They're going to go back to their 100K sub channels of these super preppers that think they know what they're talking about. I'd love to see what they have in their Bugout bag compared to somebody as intelligent as you that has focused so much energy and time on focusing on like even the very specific aspects such as your feet.
Right.
There's just so many, it's refreshing for me to have this conversation because there's just so much bullshit out there in YouTube link. But yeah, there's a couple of questions for sure. I've got
one thing I want to do just before, so we don't forget, is anyone who's got a question after the show, You
Yes.
can email me. So my email is dflowers, FLOWERS 601 at Gmail. Email me with your question and I will answer it. But provide me with your phone number as well, because some questions aren't going to be answered in an email. I'll have to phone you and say, okay, this is what you do, or this is how I can help you. So provide a phone number so I can reach you, and preferred day or night when, when you'd prefer I call, if I can't just type in a quick email. And
Well-
that's the best way I can help as many people as I can.
I'll try to remember to put that in the description right after this
Awesome.
too. So if you're
I'm
watching
gonna-
this later, you can just hop down in there.
And I'll just comment right now and put his email in the comments section, like
Right on.
6
The
or 7
only-
times.
Yeah,
so people
one
have-
question I saw in particular that I think Mark Olson had a couple times was, what is the final weight of your typical bug out bag?
For me, it changes all the time because I'm kind of like mission specific stuff. It's like, oh, I don't need
Right.
this. I need this. Oh, it's not that cold. Mine swivels between like 8 pounds and say 12, 13 pounds for 3 season. And then in the wintertime, it goes up to about 20, 22 pounds sometimes, depending how long I'll be out. A really good rule of thumb is what's called the 15% rule. Never exceed the 15% rule. In other words, if you weigh 200 pounds, you should only be carrying 15% of your weight on your back. So that would be 30 pounds, right?
Yeah.
If you were 200 pounds, that would be 30 pounds. And that includes all your consumables, food, water, fuel, no more, because any more than that in a bug out situation, you're going to quickly get joint and soft tissue injuries to like tendons and ligaments. So never break that rule. You can go above that if you're highly conditioned. Okay, like Army guys in Afghanistan, they're carrying like freaking 140 pound
Yeah,
packs,
that's absurd.
highly conditioned, but it's still beating the shit out of them, no matter how fit they are. So always stick to the 15% rule.
So I actually had a question. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, dude.
But so obviously your philosophy on the bug out bag is pretty specifically designed around the fact that you have a spot that you're going to. How would you adjust that if you were in a situation where your plan for bugging out is just to leave if you have to, not knowing when you'd be able to come back, potentially have to hunt or cook food or bring more food, things like that?
So then my bug out weapon of choice would be a 22 caliber long rifle, a Ruger 1022, brick of 500 rounds in my bug out bag, a whole bunch of wire snares, and as in like steel wire rope, as in like aircraft cable snares, a lot of those, and just a spool of decent cordage so I can make my own traps. I mean, I lived next to a woods when I was growing up, and I learned like how to trap stuff by going down there and trapping animals, even though it's illegal. But I used to use, like, for snares, I'd use like thread and make a snare and prop it open on trails. And so I learned, and it's like, oh, the snare is gone. That means I got something around the neck. And I'd set up traps with like boards with double-sided tape on them. So when the trap fell on the animal,
Like hair.
I would get its hair and go, okay, what hair is this? Oh, it's a fox. I would have caught a fox. Okay,
That's
so
cool.
that's what I did starting at like 12 years old. And I have trapped stuff. I've trapped lots of stuff in reality. So for me, I can make my own like figure fours or Paiute traps. Paiute trap is my favorite.
Yeah.
If I can make like, if I sit down for a day in the woods, I can make literally like 15, 20 Paiute traps. And trapping is a numbers game. If you know what you're doing with a bit of practice, you can literally expect to get one animal for every 5 or 6 traps you set out. If I set out, 20 traps, I should get probably, about 3 or 4 animals in a 24-hour period in those traps. So it's just a number game. Set up more traps, get more animals. Small animals are where it's at. If you want to feed yourself, stay away from hunting deer unless you happen to see one. Go ahead, head shoot it, or a moose. But small animals where it's at. There's lots of them around.
You're gonna shoot the moose with the 22 LR?
Only in the ear. Hey, just so
right,
you know,
right through the ear hole.
the largest grizzly bear ever killed in North America was shot by a 14-year-old girl with a 22 long rifle right through the ear in Alaska.
Wow.
A Native American girl. She's still alive to this day. She's like 80, but yeah, so it's all a matter of shot placement. That's the secret.
Yeah.
Tom Lee asks, what do you think about having a small foldable wheeled wagon to pull along more supplies for the backpack?
Well,
I already know that answer, but
it's an anchor as far as I'm concerned. It's an anchor. My best suggestion is like, okay, so I know where I'm going and it's 210 kilometers away, but I have caches between here and there. You know, I have 4 different caches that has more stuff in them, and they're placed so that they're easily found by me. They're not 8 feet underground, so they're accessible in wintertime. They're actually in 3-inch PVC pipes that have been camouflage painted, and they're attached to trees on the side of the highway, which is kind of like part of my route, not on the highway, but off the highway. But they've never been found. They're there. So why do I want to drag a cart and anchor when I can just pre-place stuff, you know, where I might be going? Or if I don't know where I'm going, pre-place stuff all over the place, you know? I don't like the idea of being tied down to an anchor. That's just me, because now you're psychologically depending on all that stuff that's in the trailer. And if you have to abandon it, not so good psychologically.
dude, you're preaching to the choir here. We talked too about, let's get into geostashing another time. You had this great method. This is off camera. There's nothing to do with YouTube or anything in YouTube land, prepper land. You had a method where, this was years ago, you buy some bullshit tents at Value Village and you cut a hole in it, and you could, I know you're talking about hanging stuff on trees, but you could bury stuff, or you're running off of the highway with a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah.
So if anybody's visually seeing you, then they're getting, sort of a different impression of what is actually happening with respect to.
They think you're running into the woods to pinch one off real quick.
The idea was to set up the tent, like you set up the tent and people just think, oh, he's practicing camping or he's going to have a nap. But meanwhile, you're in there digging, you're caching. And then you cover it all up and you come out and take down your tent and off you go.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's genius. Mark
But so now I don't bury anything in the ground except at my location. Everything is in 3-inch, ABS pipes that are camouflage painted and attached to trees so that they actually look, unless you're like 5 feet away and you actually stare at it, you can't tell it's not part of the tree. So I wanted all my stuff accessible, even in the depth of winter.
Right.
So I stopped burying stuff.
Yeah, you didn't want to have to chisel through permafrost or something.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? This is from Michael Smolensky. What are your thoughts on jerked meat?
Hey, this is a family channel here.
I think it's great. For me, I mean, you're going to get the most amount of calories out of fat. So literally like a jar of coconut oil would maybe be a better idea, but you still need to have some protein. You got to figure that fat over, say, carbohydrates or over protein is like 3 times more calorie dense. Right. So for me, it's like, fat is like the thing. It's the best fuel. Yeah. My dog.
Yeah. What's the dog's name?
Tessa.
Tessa. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, gentlemen, it's 10:07. Do you wish to partake in my little?
Yeah, let's do it. What do you got? We won't kick you off early this time.
There's somebody asking about Alone, that show, and they're talking, well, I think enough time has passed. I was flown out to New York for season 2 to potentially be on. Oh, and nice. It's not a show that has any merit, at least lately, in my opinion. It's very strong. Let me put it this way. There was a guy on that show, one of my personal mentors, Doug knows him, or excuse me, Dan knows him. His name's Doug Getgood. This guy started the A Survival School with a gentleman named Les Stroud back some time ago. This or aka Survivor Man.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from him. He spent a year in the woods completely by himself, aside from having Les fly out and give him some food supplies and whatnot. So he did an interview for Alone, the TV show Alone, and this guy is a kind of like a Jedi in some respects, how Dan is, where he really knows his stuff, and he didn't get accepted and to get flown out to New York. And I'm no way superior in a lot of respects. I think a lot of it had to do with, well, if you had a pair of tits, that was unfortunate.
Well, a lot of it has to do with they wanted, your personality and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe that's.
It's not just your skills, but they don't want it. If you just like get no food and you sit there quietly, not saying anything, and you're not good at interacting, like, all right, that's boring.
Maybe that was my problem.
Yeah. I almost made it on to season, I think it was 16 of Big Brother. They actually flew me out to LA.
Okay.
Awesome.
But I didn't quite make it. I made it to the top 50 people. Not that matters. That'd be ridiculous, but.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see me or not.
Yeah.
I gotta open up the second screen here. Let's see, share screen and share screen one.
I see the black cube of nothingness, but
few monitors, and here we go. So don't worry, your wife isn't watching anymore, or your girlfriend. And can you guys see that?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
Is this like a trick where it's actually a dude or something?
No.
You're like, hey, you think she's hot? And I'm like, sure. And then you're like, well, guess what?
The question's simple. Who would you bug out with? And there's a theme here.
Okay.
So this is number one. I'll go through them.
Okay.
This
Bug out partners.
Yeah, just which one of these girls are you gonna just say yes to?
Okay.
I'm gonna grab this girl and bug out with.
Is this consensually or caveman style over the shoulder? Because then the weight comes into factor a little bit more. Like Dan, always about the weight. Every ounce. Okay.
One of you guys will make the connection eventually.
I haven't made any connection yet.
Me neither.
Is she from The Walking Dead?
Yes,
I know who.
you got it. There's the last one.
There we go.
Okay. So they're all from The Walking Dead?
Yes.
Oh, because the first, yeah. Okay.
There's my thumbnail.
Yeah, because that's what's her name. The second one is the one who had
Maggie.
the southern accent. Yeah. Which one is is that Rosita or Rosita? Oh, it is Rosita. Yeah. That was gonna be my choice anyway.
Yeah, she looks great. And then Jessie, she was involved with Rick there briefly. But anyways, out of the 7 choices here, I didn't include McCone or Carol, but which?
Michonne. Got to go with Rosita.
Yeah. Okay, Dan.
Hard. Either Maggie or Carol.
Carol? Are you serious? Hold on, we got to go back to Carol here for a second.
She's pretty good at surviving.
She's always been calm when things are dire.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you, gentlemen.
Look at this. I'm great.
It's funny because some of the girls I searched said Carol or whatever their real names are in lingerie, and I didn't want to do Carol because it feels like I'm trying to bang my grandmother's bingo partners. Yeah.
Cougars are people too.
Anyways, Eric, unless there's any more questions.
Oh, that was great. I think we went over a lot of good information for people to incorporate into their preparations.
Yeah, William McCaskey, can you bring him back again? What's a good question? Dan, would you come back again?
Oh, I'd be happy to come back. Yeah, had a lot of fun.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome.
Just want to help people any way I can.
Definitely. I definitely think it did. I know I've picked up some tips too, which is awesome.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Well, Che Prepper Logic signing out. Dan.
Yeah, do you have anywhere, Dan, a website or anything other than your email, which you'd already posted, which was
No, I told you I'm the gray man.
That's right, right on. But if you haven't been watching for the past few minutes, you just turned in, Dan offered his email for questions about bugging out nutrition, slow jogging, whatever. It's dflowers601@gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's it.
Awesome. So definitely would take him up on that if I were you. And I appreciate you coming on. Thanks, Che, as always. And everyone check out Prepper Logic channel, rulethewasteland.com. And we'll see you next week.